Padres Hot Tub is proudly presented and supported publicly by the people who listen to Padres Hot Tub, by our community. That's how we make this show. It's with your support. And the way to do that is via patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. That's where you get access to a veritable cornucopia of benefits for a price, $5 a month, our entry tier, that's pretty much lower than anything you can find in a market anywhere in North America these days. And there's so many different things that we could highlight each week. But for a moment, let's highlight fantasy. Right now, we've got 8 different leagues in baseball happening. We've got a keeper and a dynasty league, and we've also got a 6-tier promotion, relegation, restart league that is going stronger than ever. Obviously, you can't sign up for it right now, but we do it for basketball, football, hockey, Survivor, Big Brother. You can find your fantasy fix, Chris, at Padres, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub.
The Baseball Insider Discord is truly fantastical. As you know, Craig, you are in the B division after being relegated from A division. I find myself in C division after being relegated from B division. So it just goes to show anyone can lose, anyone could win. It's a heated battle. It's very competitive, but it's a whole lot of fun because it's people you know, it's people you talk with every day. And yeah, I'm coming for you, buddy.
It's a Discord community that's over 600 strong. It's easily the best social media platform you can be on compared to all the other mega platforms. Come find out more. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Padres Hot Tub, everybody. It's great to be back here with you. Craig Elsten, Raphie Cantor, recording on the evening of Monday, April 21st. Our Padres lost on the road in Detroit, 6-4 today. In lieu of doing an individual post-game show for our patrons, this is the full-fledged show. We'll talk about everything that's been going on for the last week. We've got it all going on. We've got half empty, half full. We've got all sorts of things to discuss. We've got a team that's basically mostly injured. Almost feels like a science lab experiment right now. How many guys can we lose? So a lot to talk about. But right off the top, we got to be excited about this, guys, because this is my favorite shirt that we've created yet. There's a new piece of merch, and you can go to it right now at PadresHotTub.com and check it out. It's time for Merrill Madness. And I think there's a couple other Merrill Madnesses out there, but this one is done in the style of Reefer Madness. It's the sweet swing that makes baseball better. Fans cry for it. Baseballs die for it. Merrill Madness. Succumb to the temptation of Merrill Madness and see what happens. You can do that at Padres.com. PadresHotTub.com/merch. PadresHotTub.com/merch. What do you guys think? When you guys sent me this mock-up, what did I say to you? I said, I need to wear this now.
You did. You said that immediately. And this is another collaboration with our Discord patron, Big Brown Machine. Shout out again. This is our 3rd shirt that we've collabed on. So I'm just really excited for folks to be getting after this. Just a reminder for big and huge patrons, you are entitled to a free shirt. This can be your free shirt this year. So reach out to me. I'm going to also be posting a discount code on our big patrons Discord channel that both big and huge patrons have access to. If you do not see that, you can email us at PadresHotTub.com. At PadresHotTub@gmail.com. God, Craig, I'm doing the same thing with you.
Nobody knows
and
these
nobody
fucking
knows.
addresses.
PadresHotTub@gmail.com. And we will make sure that you get that. So again, one of our perks for big and huge patrons is that annually you get a free shirt. This is our merch drop this year. And come and snag it.
For now, who knows what crazy thing will happen? Will there be another sling that's sinister? Will there be another viral moment that must be captured? But yeah, we're really proud of this one. Merrill Madness. We like to go for the freshest pop culture references here at Padres Hot Tub. So we went back to 1934's
something like
Reefer
that.
Madness.
Yeah, something along those lines. Also, I want to point out that we have launched a new Bogarts highlight page. If you just go to www.xvideos.com, you can see all of the different singles.
Hey, I just typed this in and I'm seeing some very interesting videos, but it's not Bogarts.
I
don't think it's Bogarts. I can't see the face, but
if you want to see some dads getting plowed, go to xvideos.com.
I'm getting a lot of pop-up videos here.
Where's Comerica Park? I don't see Comerica Park to see this plowing.
They got rid of the keyhole at Comerica Park, but if you want to see a different type of keyhole, head to xvideos.com.
Okay, enough. Show to commence. My goodness, we got to all recover. Okay, so the Padres are on a road trip, and this feels like a really weird game right now. This almost feels like something that Reed would put into his out of the park simulation after finding a particular strain of vape to enjoy. And it's like, what if three $30 million players and all minor league invites? How many games can we win with this? Let's try now. No, that's the 2025 Padres in the third week of April. That's literally what started in Detroit today. Was not exactly three $30 million players, but if you put the average together, it certainly is, of Tatis, Machado, and Bogarts, surrounded by 6 players that all received minor league invites to Padres spring training 2025. One of them, Gavin Sheets, off to a whale of a start. A couple others, not as much. But nonetheless, they all got that same generic boilerplate contract, an invitation to spring training. And that's where we are right now with the Padres. 5 position players injured. Never mind Darvish. Never mind Musgrove. Never mind Waldron. Mm-hmm. Depth is an issue.
4 left-handed. Right, 4 left-handed hitters of those
all
5.
The best lefty hitters. All the best ones. All out at once. That's where we are today. We were all watching the game. Padres falling behind hopelessly. Randy Vasquez putting them behind hopelessly. Rallying and actually having a look at the game and then not having a look at the game when the Tigers bullpen came to be. In the midst of that, Chris, we don't want to let it go by before too deep into the show. You had a green screen rant.
Yes, I have a grievance against the broadcast. Could everybody here imagine if you watched the game tonight on MLB.TV, like so many Padres fans are paying this year, you noticed that the ball would friggin' disappear, especially out of left-handers' hands. I'm not sure I got to see a baseball leave Yuki Matsui's hand. And I wanted to get to it right away because it's nothing big, but this should be something that is unacceptable for consumers paying what we're paying to watch the Padres. This is a club that makes a lot of money. And at least has a lot of money coming in. They don't need to do stuff like this. And if this is an MLB decision, it's bad for the consumer. If it's a decision being made by the team, it's very unlike the team in how bad it is for the consumer. We did not get to watch baseball tonight because for at least a couple innings, there was no ball. You just saw Yuki try to throw it and then the swing, and then it went wherever. Because it got green screened out. And I heard this complaint a little bit last year. This was my first experience with it this year. It's completely unacceptable. Wanted to talk about it because I feel like I will not be alone in this sentiment.
I didn't notice, but maybe I was on a different feed.
Yeah.
Personally. So
no,
in our
bad.
Discord, people were talking about it. Yeah.
I've seen it. It's annoying. I mean, like, this is the continued downward spiral of the product that has tended to happen. That's coincided with Major League Baseball making their deal with gambling companies, and we just see like the increased commoditization. When remember last year in the playoffs when they had the Strauss company, a company we were all familiar with,
gosh, yeah,
on the helmets of every MLB team. Just whatever. Like I'm not someone who's really bothered by the jersey patches at all. And I mean, like, look, we love soccer on this podcast as well. I mean, that's kit sponsors is a everyday part of life for those, and it's kind of just become background noise at this point. But when it starts to like literally affect the quality of the broadcast, like then
like what if there was no ball? What if guys were just kicking nothingness?
Yeah.
There was a short period toward the end of toward the end of the season for the Sockers when they put in their new turf where their crease is entirely painted white and the ball was white. It'd be the same thing. It would go into the crease and be like, is that a ball? Is that a ball? Is that turf? Is that ground? Is that mystery? Well, fair point. And I would only just toss into the stew as we walk by this little sprig of Padre broadcast broke. So got to get money everywhere you can. And you can't. You
turns
don't?
out. You can just let the audience see the baseball go to the catcher. Turns out. Like
maybe work on the tech of that. Work on the tech side. Make sure that you can have ad and baseball is what the executive would say.
I like it.
I think a certain square-jawed executive would say, what if we had both? So, okay. The Padres are on this road trip. We set the stage. This is a classic half full, half empty, doomer bloomer. How do you want to put it? But three-way tie for the best record in Major League Baseball. The Mets, the Dodgers, the San Diego Padres, 23 games in, 16-7, great record. Tremendous record. It's not 11 games over 500, it's 9. So, little Buffett, but guys, all the lefty hitters are hurt. Our new t-shirt guy is hurt. By the way, we announced the t-shirt while he's recovering from an injury. You can't blame us.
Fact.
Can't blame us. Not this time. Nope. Okay. Merrill's out. Cronenworth's out. Even Hayward's out. Lockridge is out. And now Arraez is out. Scary. He'll be out for a little while. He'll be out for at least a little while. Hopefully not too much longer than that, but he'll be out for at least a little while. So where do you land on this? Panicked or resilient to the moment, or somewhere in between? What do you have?
I just got to go back to our predictions episode. We recorded that when we found out Yuli Gurriel had a roster spot. And we found that when Jason Hayward made the team. And oddly enough, now we kind of missed Jason Hayward, maybe a little bit. I don't know. But like we expected the team to have troubles in the back half of the lineup and the team to have troubles in the depth department. Just Jackson Merrill be gone from the team is a huge hole. When they played him in center field as a rookie who had never played the position at the time, we kind of thought, well, this is a bit born out of necessity, if not desperation. And now we're seeing what happens when that's gone, when that doesn't work out. You have Connor Joe playing center field. You have Terso Ornelas playing center field. You have Tyler Wade as perhaps your best center fielder on the roster.
Locked in, baby. Tyler Wade is locked in,
man. And what that leads to is the club having a hard time, as our perpetual, cheery, and always correct patron Tevin McReynolds points out. The team hasn't been able to score more than 4 runs with this lineup. Like 4 runs seems to be the ceiling. And that makes a lot of sense because you have 4 good hitters at the top.
Right. I mean, you really have 3, maybe 4, right? Raphie passes through the lineup. If Tatis and Machado are going to be your 2 engines, you're going to get 3 runs for those 3 rips, maybe 4 for those 2 guys to generate. And honestly, for the Padres to have a big day offensively, Raphie, then you're asking those 2 guys to get on at least 3 out of 4 times. And hopefully it's in synchronous with one another.
Yeah, I mean, just today's game is the perfect kind of microcosm of that because the Padres were down 4-6 in the top of the 7th inning, and that was our Tatis, Sheets, Machado, Bogarts pass through the order. And when they went down without scoring a run, I knew that, like, okay, I can probably just turn this game off. Like, and there obviously could have been a chance that our 5-hole Tirso Ornelas, Connor Joe platoon and Oscar Gonzalez and Jose Iglesias and Tyler Wade and Martin Maldonado could string together or something. But, we always were looking from the beginning of the season at the bottom half of that lineup, and really specifically the 7 through 9 guys, and saying, okay, is this going to be a 2023 adjacent experience? Are we going to have some different luck, et cetera, et cetera? And just seeing that top part of the lineup get shorter and shorter and shorter to the point where you got 4 spots in the lineup. And oh, by the way, one of them is Gavin Sheets, who a month ago we had no idea who he was going to be. It does become somewhat concerning. Craig, we lost your audio. So, there, you're back.
I'm back. Okay. All I said was, and one is Gavin Sheets, like you said. The other is Xander Bogaerts, and we kind of know who he is now.
Yeah,
it's not gonna. I'm waiting for that bomb. I was waiting for the bomb today.
Am I being crazy if I say that we're like one Fernando Tatis winning a game through sheer willpower away from a 4-game losing streak?
No, of course you're right. Of course you're right. But I look at it. Here's how I look at it. Okay. It's as an inevitability. This is part of the attrition of the season. This is what happens. It happens to every team. It happens at different times to every team, not all at the same time. And right now, the Padres have taken multiple hits to the same position groups. And that's when it really hurts, is when you're getting multiple hits to the same group. It's one thing to lose Cronenworth, but to lose Cronenworth and Arraez, that's the entire right side of your infield. Iglesias can only fill in for one of them. Someone else now has to step in. Okay, well, that's Sheets. Great. Well, we like Sheets. He's playing well. But now that means Sheets can't be the DH. That means someone else has to be the DH. And now we get to the Tirso Joe, and today both of them drove in a run by legging out a fielder's choice. And that's pretty much the top contribution that either one, because neither one's gotten a hit. That's the top contribution that they've made to the team, is they were fast enough to not get doubled off.
Tirso was.
Yeah. No, Joe beat out something today too. I don't know if he drove in a run, but he beat out a double play grounder. I saw it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He did.
Yeah. Double play.
So, I mean, that's when I was in hockey with the Gulls, American Hockey League team, beholden to their patrons above the Ducks. You'd have a full strength team and you'd feel kick ass. And then the Ducks would take an injury and they'd pull one guy up. And it was barely like you lost a beat. Even though you just lost your best player, one guy steps in, everyone's feisty, everyone locks in. And then the second guy gets called up. It's like, okay, well, special teams is taking a little bit of a hit. We're a little thinner than we used to be. We're still okay. And then the third guy gets called up. And then the fourth guy gets called up. And then one of your guys gets injured. And for every team in every sport, there's a tipping point where you go from, hey, we can handle these injuries. We can survive and thrive, to the point where you just tip over it. And it goes to, we now just need to hang on and not lose every game. We just need to pull some games. And what I would say right now, guys, is that if the Padres don't pitch well, they're going to have a hard time.
Basically.
I don't think a shutout, but if they don't pitch well, 3, 2, 1, maybe 4, allowed, they're in a sticky spot. They need one of two things after that. They need either all of their big hitters to hit well at once, or they need contributions from the players 5 through 9 in the lineup. And sometimes you're going to get them, and you need to string it together, and you can't make any mistakes. And that's a good thing of a Mike Schilt club. They usually don't. Today, the Padres made a mistake in their rally inning to get thrown out on the bases for the third out. And it denied Jose Iglesias, a great singles hitter, a chance to hit with a runner in scoring position. And I thought that's where the game was lost. today. That was like their one chance to string it along, to keep pushing it down the line, to get another Tatis Machado at bat out of it in a key situation, and they didn't get it done because Ogon got a little froggy trying to double up on a mistake by Detroit. So, is that half empty or half full? To me, it's more of just like, I recognize where the team is. You can't hold them to the standard that you would have even a week ago to where they are now. They've got 6 Chihuahua adjacent players. I don't want to demean Iglesias like that, but you got 3 studs and you got 6 people on minor league deals.
I would argue that they've been in. One could make the argument. I don't know if I want to make it. One could make the argument that they've been in just hold on mode since they got back from Sacramento, because that's when they lost Jackson and Jake. We lost your audio again, Craig. And so,
sure.
Because if you think about, that's really where the lineup got shortened, and Luis Arraez, for the 3 homers that he has, 3 home runs more than Xander Bogaerts, by the way. Like, you could really argue that he hasn't been all that effective. Like, when we were doing our preseason podcast and talking about Luis Arraez, we were saying that the 270 version of Luis Arraez is like, you basically can't play him. He's hitting 287 right now. You can definitely play Luis Arraez hitting 287, but I mean, he's basically at the bottom of what you need for him to perform, for him to be worth it. And I would say, this is maybe my inner Schmevy coming out, but I think that Gavin Sheets playing first base is an upgrade from Luis Arraez. It's 8 inches taller, and he's a big beef boy who can go over there and get up for balls. And I haven't seen his scooping abilities. Luis obviously has had some nice scoops, but Luis Arraez has been a bad first baseman. So like, I actually think that if like much in the Hosmerian, Cronenworthian switcheroo that happened in 2020, where Hosmer had the shits, and then we got to see Jake Cronenworth play the field. If we have Gavin Sheets now stepping into first base, playing a decent first base, and then the switch is that in a week, Luis Arraez is hitting designated hitter, that honestly might be a net positive for the team. So there is potentially that's something good to come out of this, but I would just make the argument that they've been in hang-on mode. They happened to run into the hapless Rockies in that time. They won a great series against the Cubs that they needed to win and only lost in extra innings. And much in the same way, they lost an Astros series that they only ended up really losing by 1 run in that Saturday night game. And I think we're kind of bearing the lead here in all of this. The pitching on this team is unbelievable. And I know that we're coming off of a Randy Vasquez, stinger where he really was the guy who we've always thought him to be. But I'm just like blown away by this bullpen. And there are 3 starters in this rotation who can basically get you in there to win any game. And we're hanging on and waiting and seeing with Randy Vasquez and Kyle Hart. I'm sure we'll talk about Kyle Hart in a second. But the pitching's kept them in every game, guys. Am I wrong?
The Padres pitching has been awesome. And also, we've got 2 spots in this rotation that are pretty yikes every time they go out there. And, not to skip around, but just because it's more recent. Randy Vasquez is that yikes for me. I love Don and Mud, of course. We know. And it's house TV. It's Padres TV. It's not be neutral. It's Padres TV. And they threw his stat line up next, and Mark was trying to gush on it. He's like, look at that ERA. But then right there it says however many innings it was, like 20 innings, 14 walks, 8 strikeouts. He goes, the strikeouts will come. Well, not today. Not today. Because Vasquez, look, last time I said my mind is open to the possibility that he can be a successful starter for this team. It's not something I'm going to definitely agree with. that it is going to be for sure.
The fact of the matter is that the team's lost 7 games. Randy Vasquez has started 3 of them, and he wasn't getting hit too hard tonight. He kind of got hit a little bit too hard, and he allowed the leadoff batter in every inning to get on.
Well, you've got Randy Vasquez on one side. I think Randy Vasquez is a fairly known quantity. Maybe we're trying to wish cast on him something under 1.4 for a whip. It might be impossibility. It might just be a matter of this dude's going to have a whip over 1.4, and it's going to be every game. Roll the dice. Does he strand or does he not strand? Does he have 3 pitches working or does he have 2 and he's dead? And that might just be Randy Vasquez. The guy, I'm not worried that much about Randy Vasquez. I feel like he's kind of a known quality for low grade suckage. Like he's not great, but he might be better than you think on a given day. Kyle Hart, I'm not a believer right now, guys. I just got to say it. I'm not a believer. I think he won't be a part of this rotation as soon as this rotation starts to get anywheres near a little healthier. And who was going to say that missing Matt Waldron could actually be an issue for the San Diego Padres? But I think missing Matt Waldron has been an issue for the Padres so far.
Well, I think it was something we were saying was going to be an issue, knowing that the other options were Stephen Kolek and Kyle Hart potentially. And I mean, when John and I on Pods Above Replacement were talking about Kyle Hart, the question that we basically had was, look, this guy has a fantastic sweeper, and he's got some great command that he was able to display in Korea. The question is simply, has Major League Baseball passed a pitcher like Kyle Hart by? A pitcher who tops out at 90, 91, maybe he'll put a little extra mustard on it and give you 92. And yeah, he's got a great secondary pitch, but if he ever makes one mistake, he's cooked. And that's basically what we saw in his start on Friday night when Cam Smith homered off of him twice, where he was firing that sweeper in there, and then all of a sudden, he just makes one mistake, and it's into the Crawford boxes. And that's really the tightrope act that Kyle Hart needs to be walking for him to be successful in Major League Baseball, is that he cannot afford to misplace basically a single pitch. Because, first of all, not only is he not throwing that hard, but the delta between his fastball and secondary pitches is not that big compared to someone like Dylan Cease, who's pumping 98 and then throwing an 85 or 86 mile an hour sweeper or slider or whatever. But when you're throwing 91 or 90 or 89 and you're throwing an 83 mile an hour sweeper, like, you're basically just speeding the bat up as opposed to, creating a giant delta that's causing swing and misses. So, we had talked about Kyle Hart. We talked about our skepticism around him. It really sucks because it's a great story and I really wanted it to work out for him. But I would say that my skepticism has only been more cemented seeing him pitch. And I suspect that, this is now kind of skipping a little bit ahead in our order, but we're seeing now reports from Kevin Acee that Yu Darvish's timetable is sometime in the last week of May for a return. Matt Waldron, who was on the 60-day IL, theoretically would be eligible to return sometime around then. So my guess is certainly at that point will be when Kyle Hart returns to El Paso. But the question for me becomes, do the Padres take a chance on Stephen Kolek or Ryan Bergert or Omar Cruz before getting to that last week of May?
Well, go ahead.
I don't know,
Chris,
man.
sorry.
That's hard. That's tough because you got the known quantity in Randy Vasquez, and as much as I'd like to, see otherwise, Kolek's not lighting up AAA. His xFIP isn't too bad, but what's the trade-off? Like, the team is 3-1 and Kyle Hart starts when he's gotten 2 performances where the team got 8 runs for him and 7 runs against him. And then he went out and contributed to a shutout. So the results are, that gives him and Randy Vasquez exactly a 500 record. And that plays, you know.
You're right.
I know Randy is in the 3 spot and Hart's in the 5 spot, but of your last 2 guys, that plays. It just comes down to the lineup being half of a major league lineup.
I think that's completely fair. I just feel like of all the guys I've seen so far, I think Hart has the worst stuff of them. So
Yeah.
to go back to what Raphie kind of tossed out there, I might take a chance on Stephen Kolek if Kyle Hart's next start is another bad start, because he's putting them into non-competitive positions. And as we know right now with this lineup, which isn't going to get all the way healthy for a little while, and you've got a Giants series coming up in the next week, 2-game series, but still, you've got a Giants series coming up. I feel like Hart is the guy I'm the least confident is going to give the team a chance to win on a given night. Vasquez usually gives him a chance to win. He didn't tonight. He really took them out of the game tonight with bad pitching. But that's going to happen. It's going to happen, in every major league series. Okay, so we've covered Hart.
Yeah, you know who's not
Who's that?
struggling?
Yeah, he's
Michael
great.
King.
In fact, I was all locked and loaded to drop a hammer because after Michael King pitched a complete game shutout against Colorado, there was this whole discord. Oh, he's going to be ruined now. His next start, he can't even throw 80 pitches. He's going to be down for weeks and weeks. This was such a big, and it built out of fear. There's this fear that's been instilled, and it started in 2000. It built in like 2003 when Dusty Baker was overusing Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood, back at a point where legitimately managers didn't understand what pitch count abuse was. And so Sabermetrics had to really step in and go like, guys, pitch count abuse, and then you get the third time through the order, multiplier. You've got all these things that tell managers via Sabermetrics, you've just got to take out a pitcher. Just take him out. Kid's the next guy in. It's probably going to be better. But one thing that you lose in that is a guy that's on a roll. When you got a guy that's on a roll that you can't hit, that is cruising, you can let that guy go. There's no difference between Michael King pitching 92 very low pressure pitches and throwing 110 low pressure pitches. There's very, very little difference in that. And I think the numbers have started to show that more because every team has adopted this. Nobody routinely lets a starter go out there and throw 125, 130, 135. Guys, that happened all the time back in the day. I remember Vince Scully saying on the air, like, 120 is around the number where, you really start to think about a pitcher. So I don't know. With all of that, I wasn't worried about Michael King, and I was locked and loaded. And then on his 90th pitch, Michael King gave up a home run to Christian Walker. And I was in Mexico, so I didn't get to see the stat bot. Did they do the thing about how many parks that would have been a home run in?
Oh, I can. If you give me 30 seconds, I can tell you.
Okay,
Same.
cool. Because I figured when I was watching it on my iPad in Mexico, I thought that was another one of those obnoxious Crawford box pop flies that might have been a double.
21 out of 30.
What about Peck? Was
Most.
Petco one of them?
Petco is one of
so
them.
never mind. He hung it and he bumped it. Yeah.
It.
Okay.
It was right down the middle. Like if you look at the game day breakdown of it, it is center in that middle square. If we're doing the mistake of that game, that's probably it.
And then the Padres lost on BABIP on Saturday when Estrada gave up a couple bloopers that found grass. But more than that, they didn't get that specific offensive combination we talked about on that night of getting all the offense from Arraez and Machado and someone else. Or, at that time they had Arraez, Machado, Tatis. And so they lost that one, 3-2. And then you get into Sunday, and Sunday starts with the worst moment possible. Arraez dropping down a bunt. Tatis already on, dropping down a bunt. Dubon comes over to cover late. shoulder to face. No intention, but shoulder to face. And it jostles Arraez, and Arraez wasn't expecting the contact, and he wasn't in any balanced way, and he fell. And in falling, his head hit the turret or hit the ground. And obviously, he took a concussion. In classic Padres sense, they said, "Oh, the test cell came back well on Sunday," while Arraez is telling people that he had no memory of the incident. Like,
I mean, we literally had a Kevin Acey, good Lord, Luis Arraez just walked into the Padres clubhouse suite. Like, it's like, it's whatever the messaging that they want out there is out there within 10 seconds that they want it. And it's like a tragedy in 3 acts, which is, good messaging put out there, cautionary statement given, IL stint. Every time. Every time.
Yeah, there was little doubt dude was going into the concussion protocol. And hey, for all the fans out there who did what I did in that moment and before the contact at first base and screamed, "Why is Luis Arraez bunting?" Guys, I just want to stop in real quick and ask you, what do you think Luis Arraez's career high in a single season for bunt attempts is? Bunt attempts. Putting down a bunt, getting it successfully putting it
getting
down.
a bunt hit,
like not missing a bunt. No. Getting a bunt down, putting a bunt in play.
So these are bunt outs, bunt hits, and sacrifices.
Sacrifices, yes.
30?
3.
3?
In previous seasons. 3. This season, he already has 4. It's already happened 4 times this year. And he's only done it 3 times as a career high because he's the best contact hitter in the game. And if you look at his numbers historically, they're not that good. If you look at the numbers this year, they're not that good. In his 4 attempts, he's gotten 2 sacrifices, and 1 of those is scored. I got to think if Luis Arraez is at the plate with Fernando Tatis Jr. on first base, he's going to knock in Fernando Tatis Jr. once in a while, and most of the time he's going to advance him. It's a frustrating thing for me to watch the best contacted in the hitter in the game come up and be on a pace, not just for his career high, because he's already hit that, but to blow it out of the water by an order of magnitude. I don't really understand the strategy, and it just made him getting smacked like a punt returner hitting a lineman, all the more worse. It made that whole sequence very emotional and upsetting for me.
Do you agree, Raphie?
Agree with
what Chris just said, that it was upsetting to see Arraez drop a bunt, that it's bothersome.
I mean, it is bothersome because you're making a decision to hit him second in the lineup with the express idea of he's hitting behind Fernando Tatis Jr. And I mean, literally, we had a situation last night where he got injured where Tatis was on base. Tatis is on base. And so what are we doing with our number 2 spot in the lineup where we're essentially, whether we're bunting for a base hit, which with Luis Arraez's speed is questionable at best, or trying to get a sacrifice going with our number 2 hitter.
In the first inning, of the 4 times he's done it, 3 times have been first inning.
Jay Bell is going on here.
Yeah. Exactly. And the whole point is I think about this, obviously Fernando Tatis Jr. is a very different player than this, but I was always brought up being taught about the teams that I was not there to witness, but Gary Templeton to Tony Gwynn hitting second. You had a speed threat on first base so that Tony Gwynn was going to get lots of fastballs that he would be able to square up and put into the outfield. And now all of a sudden you got 2 guys on and nobody out. And I was initially at least very intrigued by this Luis Arraez, Fernando Tatis Jr. combination where Tatis is up first. And obviously Tatis is going to hit 40-something home runs this year, right, in my estimation. And also he does have that speed threat. So my question is, like, you you wouldn't have Tony Gwynn ever bunt in that situation.
No.
And isn't he theoretically serving the same, when I say he, I mean Luis Arraez, serving the same purpose as Tony Gwynn was serving in that lineup, trying to do the same job? So, I do think it is quite upsetting. Right.
Well, I'd like to note that my answer to your guess was ludicrous because I missed by 10x. I thought that maybe Luis was fast enough earlier that he was regularly trying to drop bunt base hits. Never mind being a young player that might have sacrificed a couple of times along the way. I will never endorse a bunt with nobody out in the first inning. Like, just universally, that's not a good choice. I don't want to take any club out of Luis's bag as an artist with the bat. And if he thinks that he's got space on the infield to drop down a bunt for a hit, and he sees it and he has the bat control to execute that, I want him to do that if he thinks it's the right thing to do at that moment. And maybe he really thought, maybe he saw something from the pitcher in the first at bat with Tatis that he thought that if he put it on the right side, that there was no chance that they were going to cover properly, and he just hit it just a touch too hard. And you can't blame the process, just the execution. So in that sense, I'm not upset, but I'll just broaden it a little more generally. I think Luis Arraez has played pretty bad for the Padres in 2025 so far. I don't think he's really helped the Padres in almost any way. He's been an erratic hitter.
The homers have been nice, but that's it.
He's been an erratic hitter. 4 times he's had a 3-hit game, so cool. A lot of times he's hit a lot of ground ball outs. He's expanded his zone, and then other times he takes a walk. But so it's like it's kind of this mixed message thing. He's kind of taking a couple more pitches, but then he'll swing at a pitch 4 balls outside and fly out to left field with runners in scoring position. The best version of Luis Arraez should hit second behind Fernando Tatis Jr. The best version, the 328 hitting with walks, on base percentage 360, 370, spraying it to all fields. That's a perfect complement because Fernando can get on, he can steal second base, and Arraez is just going to be an RBI machine, or another situation where you pitch around Tatis with 2 outs, and now you've got Arraez, and he's an RBI machine. But he hasn't taken to that so far this year. And it's April 21st, and the poor dude just, bounced his head like a basketball off of the Dyken Park turf. So, I'm going to give him a ton of grace here, while just noting that to this point of the season, he hasn't really been, given that he's defensively nothing. He hasn't given the Padres a lot of value so far this year.
I would just be really surprised if it was solely him deciding to bunt, so many times that it's already his career high. And we're 20 something games in. Like, this just seems like some sort of strategy or like something. It could be on his part, but I mean, we're talking about a guy who had 7 bunt attempts from 2019 to 2024. Like, I had to do this search twice to make sure that was legit. Like, I don't really get it. And we can argue, I just think that he is 9th on the team in on-base percentage. That doesn't need to be playing second. And when he's back to batting title Luis, sure, make the decision there. But yeah, man, I think we can be making some better decisions early in the games.
Well, that makes sense. Otherwise, I would shout out a guy that is a big friend of this show, Letters to AJ, and say he wrote like an immaculate recap of Sunday's game. It was a game of high drama. It was a game that Fernando Tatis Jr. pushed his team across the finish line himself. He scored all 3 runs, including the third one. He hit the ball over the fence to score himself. The back end of the bullpen was terrific. Dylan Cease stepped up in a clutch moment for the most part, and pitched good. But we haven't seen the top side of Dylan Cease yet. I think we've seen the top side of King. We've seen the top side of Pivetta so far this season. We haven't seen the really good the really good, oh, we're winning tonight, it's Dylan Cease night. We haven't seen that yet from Dylan so far.
Yeah, a lot of bad luck in there.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, Dylan, outside of one half of an inning in Sacramento, has had a pretty stellar season so far. And even in that inning, which he was, you guys, or Craig, you were at least there to see it in person. 2 outs, already gotten in the first inning, and then a string of some pretty bad blooped balls that have ballooned his ERA over 6 at this point. Obviously, it was much higher. But Dylan Cease's expected ERA is 3.36 on the season. Michael King, who has had a stellar start, including a little bit of a hiccup on opening day, a 2.57 ERA. He has an expected ERA of 2.93. Michael King and Dylan Cease have really not been that different in terms of their quality of pitching so far this year. We're just in that small sample size area so far. And I mean, much in the same way that with Randy Vasquez going into today, he had an expected ERA of 5.71 against an actual ERA of 1.74. We're just in a small sample size city still at this point on the mound. And, I expect that we're going to start to see some regression in some other ways. It should also be noted, by the way, I mean, this can directly be attributed to the Padres playing at Petco Park in April. But the Padres right now are sitting on one of the lowest home run to fly ball ratios in Major League Baseball. That is a statistic that over the course of a season, really tends to flatten out, where the lowest of low teams, that number will be about 10%. The highest of high teams, that number will be about 13%. And right now, the Padres home run to fly ball ratio is all the way down at 6.9%. So, I think as the season goes on, as the ball starts to fly a little bit further, as it gets a little bit more humid and hot, and especially as we start traveling around the country, we're not going to be in a position where we're going to be able to rely on our bullpen and our rotation, keeping games within 1 or 2 runs at a given moment. And it's just how much, 4 or 5 runs of offense are we going to get on that given day, if not 2 or 3. So, I kind of rambled my way through you talking about Dylan Cease being wonderful. And I just think that Dylan Cease is someone who's going to be a benefactor of positive regression because he's actually been pitching quite well this season.
Maybe it's the experience bias. It wasn't just a bunch of bloops, man. He threw 0-2 fastballs right down the middle to Sacramento hitters, and they laced them, and then he melted down. Dylan Cease has some of the best stuff in baseball, and he is a below average mental pitcher. He's incredible.
I would agree with
he's
that.
incredibly smart. He's incredibly worldly. He's got so many different interests. He's a very interesting person. I'm fascinated to hear him speak, but he's got a little Adam Eaton in him. Okay, he's not 100% locked in out there all the time. When he is, he's unbeatable, and when he's not, weird things happen along the way. I agree he's been a little unlucky, but he's also been a little Dylan.
That can grow, especially in the rotation that he's in. Maybe Joe Musgrove rushes off on him a little bit. The last nit I have to pick with this team, because the injuries are what they are, the depth is what it is. There's decisions that the club has made, and one of them is to have Luis Campusano down at AAA, absolutely destroying AAA pitching. He's one of the best players in the minor leagues this year, while having Martin Maldonado on the team, and that's ostensibly because his defense, right? How he calls a game, how much of a backstop he is behind the plate. Guys, did you know that Martin Maldonado leads the major leagues in pass balls right now?
I guarantee that's true.
He leads the leagues in pass balls, having half as many pitches thrown to him as his co-leader, Shea Langoliers. And all the guys that are on this leaderboard with more than one pass ball behind them have a WRC plus of over 100. And Martin Maldonado does not. Luis Campusano, all of last year, had 6 balls get behind him. Martin Maldonado already has 3 in about a quarter of the amount of pitches. Kyle Higashioka last year had 9 get past him, but he also hit like 20 jacks, and Martin Maldonado is not going to do that. This is a decision that could be made. Campy's bat could play. We don't know if it will. He struggled so badly last year doing the swing of the samurai. That's gone though now. I really think that next year pitch framing, which Martin Maldonado is still doing a pretty decent job at, is going to go away as a tangible, valuable skill because ABS is coming. It won't go away completely, but it's going to be degraded. And Luis Campusano, if he's going to be a major league player, if he can put up a 100 WRC plus for the Padres, it's going to be valuable. And I wonder, how long do you guys think the Martin Maldonado experiment should go on?
Well, let me grab this because I'm really glad you brought this up. It's not something that I really kind of articulated in any way on the show to this point, but I could not agree with you more. Martin Maldonado provides only anecdotal value to this team. And that's not to say that it's not real, that he didn't have a great conversation with somebody along the way in the clubhouse that helped in a pitcher's meeting to refine an approach that led to a decent outing by somebody. But hire him on the fucking coaching staff if you think that's that useful, because he's actually defensively a liability. And offensively, he's the worst hitter in baseball. And I don't care that he started off getting like 3 or 4 hits. Already on April 21st, he's got a 572 OPS, which is lower than the 606 OPS he put up in 2023 when he hit 15 homers. Okay? Martin Maldonado's not going to hit 15 homers for the Padres. And if he did, it would be an indictment of the team because he would have gotten enough at bats to do that. Diaz should get the chance to catch 4 out of 5 and see if he can get his bat going. It's not like I think that Elias Diaz is going to be an all-star MVP again, but at least he's shown the ability to hit 260 or 270 in the big leagues. But if you're starting every other day, it's a lot harder to get your bat going. And every time the Padres choose to put Martin Maldonado in the lineup, they are choosing to play a pre-DH National League lineup against a team playing an American League style lineup with a real DH and 9 hitters, because Maldonado is equivalent to a reasonably decent hitting pitcher. And that's what he is. And he's a crappy catching catcher. He's boxed so many balls. He has made some pass balls already this year that are just like, oh God, he was just late. Like he just didn't get the glove over and it just got boxed. And the idea that today in the 9th inning, when the scheduled order was Wade, Maldonado, Tatis, and of course Wade got his at bat, and then Maldonado got pinch hit for, and they used fucking Gurriel. Useless. Absolutely going to be the guy gone when one of these players comes off the disabled list, but he's not gone yet. What if that could have been Campusano? Like, why couldn't Campusano be on this team tomorrow, getting every righty DH at bat that Yuli Gurriel currently gets, and then being an option because you've got 2 shitty hitting catchers on your team? Like, maybe Diaz gets hot, like I just said, but if you keep Maldonado, you almost have to have Campusano. But then why are you keeping Maldonado?
Yeah.
Just cut Maldonado. Eventually, this team is going to cut Martin Maldonado. Just like eventually they're going to cut Yuli Gurriel. So every day that they don't do it, until they do it, they're making themselves very slightly worse every game. Eventually, they're going to get there. It's just a matter of when are we going to get there?
I have to just say, because I feel like I can hear the bloomers and typing on thumbs. Like, this team is 16-7,
Yes.
and what this podcast is so pessimistic. This team is tied for first in the NL West and, the best division in baseball, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to recognize that, because I'm about to give, something of a rant that I think encompasses a lot of what you're saying, Craig. I mean, 162 games will expose any team. And we're right now, are you guys familiar with the era of good feelings? This was a period in American history that was after the War of 1812, after America had defended itself, and everyone was feeling real good, and we're a country, and Britain tried to take us back, but we didn't do it, and like blah blah blah, and it's just, it was remarked upon at the time as the era of good feelings, but actually kind of like looking back, it's actually, there was a lot of division. The Federalist Party collapsed. It led to Andrew Jackson coming in, and he had a very controversial presidency, yada, 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 yada. At the time, they were calling it the era of good feelings. Looking back, was it actually that good? And what I worry about for this team, a team that is fielding 6 minor league invitees, that has Martin Maldonado and Yuli Gurriel, is that right now we have people saying we're 16-7. We're the leader of the NL West, like blah, 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 blah. But like, the more, like, I think over the course of this episode, I have gotten more worried about the team.
That was not our intent.
Because it's not our intent. It's really not our intent. But, we talked about, should Luis Arraez be bunting? And should he be hitting second? And should Martin Maldonado be playing when Luis Campusano, I just looked this up, has a literally 196 WRC plus in AAA right now? And unfortunately, we have sung and will continue to sing the praises of Mike Schilt on this podcast. I still strongly stand by the statement of AJ Preller. I'm thrilled that he's our general manager and president of baseball operations. He has won me back over after many years wandering in the desert. But this is and will continue to be the weak point of the team, which is that veteran leadership carries, and that the notion, the aura around that carries an outsized weight with the team. And so unfortunately, Yuli Gurriel will continue to be first base / DH for this team, and Eggy Rosario will continue to stay in AAA, and Luis Campusano will continue to stay in AAA while Martin Maldonado is on this team, because unfortunately, for whatever reason, the team, despite knowing better, continues and will continue to value veteran leadership over anything else. The same reason why Jake Cronenworth will continue to play everyday second base when he comes back instead of being in a platoon with Jose Iglesias, even though now watching Jose Iglesias, we know that he should be playing the weak side platoon on that at all times. And so I'm sorry if I'm getting a little too dour, but
dude,
I just feel I feel like we end up getting into the same conversation every time. And
yes.
Unfortunately, I just think it's because it is a structural issue within the organization, that I think an organization which, oh, by the way, has come a long way since the end of 2023, when Dennis Lin and Ken Rosenthal were putting pieces in The Athletic, talking all about how there's complete dysfunction in the Padres front office and blah, 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 blah. So I want to commend the team for their progress, while also saying that in order to win a championship, we still need to do better. And we are 23 games into a 162-game season. And if we continue to purposefully roll out a worse product, we will be exposed at some point.
You said it really, really, really well. And the only thing I completely agree. It's okay to have 2 leadership, hashtag Hosmarine, whatever's on your team when the rest of your team is at full strength. But once you start pulling away slat by slat, critical players, all of a sudden these guys who are the vibes merchants are forced into regular at-bats. And then they become just horrible baseball players. Yuli Gurriel, this is his last year in baseball. We're seeing the end. You're watching the cruel end.
Should have been his last series.
Yeah, he should not be on the team. But of course, we've said that since they signed him in February, that he shouldn't be on the team. At one point, we were like, there's literally no reason for him to be there. Well, he's there. Well, no one thinks, who could possibly watch him pop up to shortstop and to second base over and over and think that he's helping this team along the way? So it's one thing if he's getting 1 at-bat a week, and it's another thing if you have to pitch him or use him in the 9th inning of a 2-run game to get to Tatis. Like, I would take Campusano over him in that spot 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
I have a question for you guys. Yuli Gurriel had 65 plate appearances with the Kansas City Royals last season, in which he did not homer and finished with a slugging percentage lower than his on-base percentage. Do you think that Yuli Gurriel, before he is DFA'd by the Padres, will hit a home run with the team?
I don't think he can.
Are they going to play any games in Mexico City?
They're not playing any games in Mexico City unless Yuli is staying with the team through 2026, in which case there will be.
Okay, well, if that's their plan, it's going to be a lot of vape pens between now and then. And no, I really hope not, man. Like, it just comes to not understanding because we aren't there. We don't have our boots on the ground. We don't know what, as Craig said, the anecdotal value. What an amazing phrase for the veteran leadership on this team. But we've talked, and Mike Schilt talks about winning on the margins all the time. And right now, this isn't a roster that is aggressively pursuing those margins. And you don't have the versatility of positional flexibility, and you don't have the development of younger guys getting real at bats. And it doesn't even need to be a younger guy. You don't have Connor Joe progressing in his development on the season because Yuli has taken all of his at bats. So now he's been put in a position where he's called up right away, and he hasn't been able to get a hit in 6 plate appearances. So everybody's calling for his head, but it's not his fault. Dude hasn't had any major league looks. You know, he's been put behind the 8 ball because the club wanted to favor this other guy who offers even less versatility. And it's very frustrating. And like, there hasn't really been an explanation from it. And we've seen this movie before, guys. We saw it in 2023.
Yeah. And again, I really like this Padres team. Nothing changed from all the sunshine and rainbows. They've just lost a lot of players. You know, it was a true garden path.
Yeah.
When the Padres went 7-2 to start things off with Jackson Merrill on the injured list. That's garden path stuff. Jackson Merrill's a great player. I think this last week should help remind everybody how important he is to this team and why the team signed him to a 9-year contract extension. Like, he's that important. He's a mover, a driver for this team. Cronenworth, he's a support player, but he's an important one. Arraez, obviously, is a guy that this team counts on in the top of the lineup. And Hayward is whatevs, Lockridge is whatevs, but they have roles on this team. And when you take those people out, you're putting someone else into that role. And I'm sorry, you know, I was excited to see Terso Ornelas come up. He hasn't had one at bat yet where I thought he had a shot. Like, I haven't liked what I've seen. Small sample, maybe he'll go 5 for his next 7, but I don't know. Connor Joe, he's looked.
He has an RBI,
yeah, because
Craig.
he beat out the grounder to shortstop. Connor Joe has looked terrible. Connor Joe has looked straight up terrible.
But again, it's not his fault, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is.
But again, are we negging? No. We've just got to hang on. The Padres have got to hang on. It'll be maybe a week, maybe a week and a half, and Jackson Merrill will be back on this team. In a week or two after that, Jay Cronenworth will be on this team. And a week or two after that, Yu Darvish will be back on this team. And maybe Matt Waldron will be back too. And all of a sudden, you start to get yourself right back to that spot of strength. But in the interim, you might lose a game or two more than you should have because you put 2/9 of your lineup into the hands of Gurriel and Maldonado. And that's the thing that we, all three of us, are just trying to put into the minds of everyone listening is you don't have to do that. You have ready-made, ready-fire options that you could use instead of these guys. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you increase your chances of getting over that 4-run mark and getting to more regular offensive performances for the Padres. Anything else?
Gavin Sheets is a lot of fun. He's hitting the ball really hard. He's hitting it at a really nice launch. I think he leads the league in line drive rate. You know, he what was it? Derry
Bonds.
What's
Derry
his other
Bonds.
nickname? Derry Bonds. Yeah, Derry Bonds.
Terry Bonds is so good.
Derry Bonds is one of the best nicknames ever. and he's already carved out a little bit. So there's a lot of positivity on this team. Fernando Tatis Jr., he's got some bold italics in his B-War page. In his baseball reference page, because he leads the league in B-War. He leads the league in Roba. He's an absolute beast. There's a lot of fun to watch with the team, and it's just really frustrating that these decisions have made it so when they faced real adversity, having 5 of the contributing players on the IL, their hands are tied.
100%.
Yeah.
We got 2 more against Detroit. A good team. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, because I don't, we talked about Nando like single-handedly winning the game on Sunday night. This dude's gonna win MVP. Like, if he stays healthy, he's gonna win MVP. Like, I really don't know. I'm looking at the WAR leaderboards right now, and Corbin Carroll is obviously having a great start to a season so far. Pete Alonso is having a great start to a season so far. Jung-Hoo Lee's having a great start to a season so far. Kyle Tucker, of course. I'd say maybe besides Kyle Tucker, are any of these guys going to perform as well as Fernando, sustained over the course of the season? I don't think so.
Like, Carroll might have it in him, but Nando's the better defensive player. They both have just about the same base running above average score according to Fangraphs, so they're both causing problems on the base pass. But Nando, with his newfound plate discipline, his walk rate is exactly the same as his K rate right now.
Crazy.
That has unlocked a whole different beast. And couple that with just how fun he is and the personality and energy he brings to the team. Stay healthy, my friend. Like, please. Like, we're ready for another MVP. It's been a long time since we saw it. Man, he came close, but he's doing stuff you don't see besides once in a generation guys do.
Hey, great stuff at the 68-minute mark of the Hot Tub Show. Appreciate it. Maybe we should have led with the Nando MVP and not talked about Gurriel and Maldonado so much, but nonetheless, really well done. Let's wrap it there. Again, 2 more in Detroit, then home for Tampa Bay over the weekend. And of course, for our patrons, we'll be locking in with post-game shows coming up through the course of the week. We'll have group therapy on the off day. All of those are exclusive to our patrons. So we asked you at the beginning here on the free feed, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. On the back end, if you've enjoyed the show, please consider supporting the program. Until then, for Chris Reed, for Raphie Cantor, I'm Craig Elsten. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for supporting us, and go Padres.